Sylvia Gray speaking. Oh. Mr. Riley, I can't possibly let you have any more money. I've sold everything I have.
Not quite, my dear Mrs. Gray. What about the famous Gray diamond? That should fetch at least £10,000.
But I can't possibly sell that. If my husband found out, he'd never forgive me. It's been in his family for 300 years.
Then I think it's time it came into my family. Anyway, he'll never forgive you. He found out about those very interesting letters.
You can't have it both ways, Lady Gray. I see you until tomorrow at noon. Goodbye.
Hey, listen to this. Society woman rescued from river. Prompt action by a man in a boat rescued from drowning near Bolter's Lock, a woman whose identity was later revealed as Lady Sylvia Gray. The man, who gave his name as John Park, saw Lady Gray struggling in the water, and at considerable personal risk brought her ashore. Lady Gray is the wife of Sir Donald Gray, one of our youngest and most brilliant members of the diplomatic service. Sylvia Gray.
Should that convey anything?
Not to you, Eileen, but it conveys a lot to me. She came to see me when I was at the yard. I've got a file on the case. Here we are. She came to see me in September 1949. Now, let's see. I finished with this, thank you. I'm sorry about that interruption.
Inspector Morley, believe me, I'd move heaven and earth to get those letters back.
I'm sure you would, but, you're making this very difficult for me. If you refuse to cooperate and do as I ask you, how do you think I get to catch our friend Riley?
I'm not interested in catching him. All I want is the return of those letters.
Aren't you even prepared to make a charge?
No, I can't. You see, my husband has been listed in the birthday honors. A scandal like this would ruin him.
Supposing I tell you that Riley is someone I've been trying to convict for a number of years. For various reasons, I haven't been able to do so. One of those reasons is because people like you persistently refuse to give evidence against him.
But how can I? If I give evidence, my husband will find out about the letters. The whole thing will be made public.
That's what every blackmailer relies on. How did he get the letters in the first place?
My husband had engaged him as butler. He probably heard about...
Your indiscretion?
Yes. He must have found the letters in one of the drawers of my bureau.
Well, what do you want me to do?
He has an office now in Hatton Garden. He set himself up as a diamond merchant. I think that he keeps those letters in his safe. Wouldn't it be possible to break in and get them back?
Mrs. Gray, I'm afraid you've got an erroneous impression of the way we carry out our work at Scotland Yard. We're here to uphold the law. We can't very well do that by breaking it.
Then you can't help me.
Not on the lines you suggest. I know it's hard, but there's only one thing you can do. Tell your husband everything. Tell him you've been very foolish. Then we can go to work and put Riley where he belongs.
No, I can't do that.
Why don't you think it over and then come back and see me? Look, Mrs. Gray, you'll never get out of Riley's clutches by paying him. He'll bleed you of every penny you've got, and in the end he'll probably show your husband the letters anyway. I'm right, you know. But what?
I love my husband. I couldn't risk losing him.
Well, just think it over. That's all I'm asking you to do for the moment.
Very well. And thank you You've been very kind.
Now, please, don't forget what I've been saying. I knew she'd never come back. I had one of those awful moments of frustration that every police officer experiences at some time in his career. I'd been hunting Riley from the day he shot and killed my best friend when we were constables on the same beat. Through a legal trick, he managed to escape justice. And for 20 years, he matched his cunning brain against every device I used in my attempts to trap him. I thought at that moment, if only I were free to fight Riley on equal terms.
Well, you're free now.
What makes you think I want to sell, Mr. Mullins?
Don't you?
Maybe I do, maybe I don't. It all depends, doesn't it?
On what?
If I may employ a classical expression commonly used in our trade, it depends upon how much.
Well, I can't say that. My friend just wants to know if you're in the market.
Then you could go back and tell him that I could be, if given the incentive.
It might be in the neighborhood of 5,000.
Chicken feed, Mr. Mullins, chicken feed. My letters are worth a cool £20,000 if handled intelligently.
That may be, but they've got to be handled, and blackmail's risky.
Would you mind lowering your voice, sir? I understand my neighbors are respectable.
I'm surprised to hear you say that.
Would surprise my neighbors.
Well, come on, you old cutthroat. What about it?
My price is £20,000. Take it or leave it.
It's downright robbery.
Good day, sir.
Now look here. My friend's a businessman, same as you are, see? He's paying a fair price and he's taking all the risk.
Mr. Mullins, I have in my possession 68 letters, none of which has begun to outlive its usefulness. I'm quite prepared to admit that blackmail is risky, but then murder has its disadvantages too. That is why I gave up murder. The point is that crime is not what it used to be, Mr. Mullins. At the moment, it's going through a phase of depression. Now, would you like to run away? I'm particularly anxious to fumigate the air, and I see no point in doing that if you are still here.
I think you're being insulting.
10,000 apologies, my dear friend. I wouldn't insult you for all the tea in China. Now get out before I cut your flaming throat.
I'm sorry, Mr. Morley.
But surely, now that your husband knows...
My wife has told me all about the letters, Mr. Morley, so she isn't trying to hide anything from me. Unfortunately, this man Riley still has the power to use them.
How do you mean?
I happen to be in the diplomatic service, and quite recently I had a knighthood conferred on me. I can't possibly face a scandal. It would ruin me.
But do you think Riley will try any more blackmail?
This arrived this morning.
I'd be glad if you'd be kind enough to call at my office at 12 o'clock on Friday. Yours very sincerely, Terence Riley. Are you going?
I've no alternative. He's after the famous grey diamond this time, and he means to get it. All I can hope for is that I shall get some more of my wife's letters in return.
I see. You're in a difficult position, but if you take my advice...
There's a rather doubtful-looking character named Mullins outside. He says he has an appointment with you.
There's nothing doubtful about Mullins, Eileen. Ask him to come in. I'm expecting him. And I'd like you to stay.
Okay. Come in, Mr. Mullins.
Ah, Mullins. Nice to see you again.
I don't like this. What do you want with me?
Sit down, won't you?
I don't get it.
You will. I understand you're working for a gentleman named Alec Trent.
How do you know?
News gets around, Mullins.
Well, what of it?
You and Alec pulled a little job the other night.
How do you...
How do I know? Well, never mind about that for the moment. The point is that I do know, and I could tip off the police.
Oh, you wouldn't do a thing like that to me, now would you, Mr. Morley?
I would. If you refuse to tell me something, I'm very anxious to know.
What's that?
Yesterday morning, I saw you talking to Terence Riley in his office.
Well, I want to see him about something.
Yeah. What?
Oh, just a little business deal. Legitimate, of course.
Your little deal wouldn't be connected with blackmail, would it?
Good heavens. What gave you that idea?
Because you and your old friend Trent have dabbled in this in the past, right?
Well, speaking for myself, I've finished with it. I think blackmail's wicked.
Eileen, get me Scotland Yard on the phone, will you?
Certainly.
Ask for Superintendent Higgs. Tell him I've got Mullins in the office and I'd like him to drop by.
It'll be a pleasure.
It's quite a while since you did your last stretch, isn't it, Mullins?
What do you want to know?
I expect the boys will be glad to see you back.
What do you want to know?
All right, Eileen. Now, what's this business you've got on hand with Riley?
Well, it's got nothing to do with me. I'm only just a go-between.
Go on.
Trent wants to take over Riley's pitch.
His pitch?
Riley's got some correspondence that he wants to sell. Trent's in the market.
So that he can continue to blackmail Riley's victims, is that it?
Trent's buying the goodwill of the business, so to speak.
That's rather a novel idea, Eileen, don't you think?
Very.
Tell me, has Riley ever seen Trent?
Not that I know of.
Have the deals fixed?
I fixed it this morning.
And the letters? Have they been handed over?
Not yet.
When?
Oof. I can't tell you that.
Try Superintendent Higgs again, will you, Eileen?
Right away.
Wait.
All right, Mullins. When are the letters going to be handed over?
Well, it's like this, Mr. Morley. You see.
Yes? Terence Riley speaking.
Hello. This is Trent speaking. That you, Riley?
Oh, yes, Mr. Trent? This is Mr. Riley speaking. I beg your pardon. Yes? I should be delighted. Very delighted. Yes, indeed. Mr. Mullins was most cooperative. Yes? At 3 o'clock? Yes, I could manage that. One moment while I take down the address.
This is the address. Number 1, Hatfield Gardens, Clapham Park.
Yes, I've got that. An empty house. Oh, the basement. Oh, yes. A most suitable place for a meeting. Most suitable. Bring the letters? Why, of course. Oh, and Mr. Trent, you won't forget to bring the money, will you? No, I needn't have asked that. Goodbye.
My little ruse was simple, but I thought it worth trying. I turned up at 2:45 and prepared to wait. The simplest ruse is sometimes the most effective. Sometimes. So, Riley, we meet again. Trent couldn't make it, so I came in his place. I hope you're pleased to see me. Now, I'll have those letters.
Didn't expect me to fall for a transparent trick like that, did you? I'll admit I didn't expect to see you, Morley. But I'm not foolish enough to conduct my business in a place like this, and with a man I haven't even met.
You didn't bring him?
course I didn't. Find them if you can.
That's just what I mean to do.
I'll pay you back for this, Morley. I promise you, I'll pay you back.
I doubt it. Now for the keys.
If you dare to set foot in my office, I'll have the law on you.
Coming from you, that's funny.
And even if you find the letters, you could only damage those who wrote them. You can't touch me without hurting them. Every letter I hold in my possession has somebody's guilty secret.
I know that, but all the same, there'll be some happier people in the world when they're destroyed, and a few more when you are.
Why, you...
Well, I'll be on my way. I'll borrow your car if you don't mind.
Go on, see if you can get past me.
I was unaware that Eileen was preparing a little plan of her own, in case mine didn't work.
There's a man down here, all tied up.
Riley's car at the Star Garage for repairs, and gave Riley's name as the owner. Everything was going wrong. First the puncture, then the traffic, and then...
Drop those keys. Put your hands above your head, please, Mr. Morley. Now come away from that safe. That's the idea. You know, I'm beginning to think, Mr. Morley, that one of us is just a little smarter than the other. I'll give you 3 guesses as to which one of us it is.
You'd better put that gun down, Riley.
Do you think I should?
If you take my advice, you will.
But I don't think much of your advice. If I drop this gun, it won't be nearly as effective as if I kept it pointed at you. You're rather slow-witted at times, Morley. You surprise me.
I'd be interested to know how you got away.
Quite simple, my dear fellow. Even children have their uses. I hope you brought my car back safely.
It's in the Star Garage at Brent Street, undergoing treatment for a puncture.
A puncture, eh? The sort of puncture you're going to get will defy any treatment. I think this is my round. Eh, Mr. Morley? Now turn round and get into that room. We'll continue our discussion in there. I brought this rope back with me. I felt it might be useful. Now don't struggle, you fool. I'm expecting a visit from a friend of Mr. Trent's. Sit down there. Mr. Mullins. So the operations on you will have to be suspended for the time being. You know Mr. Mullins, I understand. He's bringing me £20,000, and in return, I'm giving him a packet of letters. You know, those letters that others will be happier about. When I haven't got them, you shall hear everything that happens. And then I'm going to kill you. And meanwhile, this will keep you silent for the time being. That must be our friend now. Yes?
You Riley?
Well, I'm Mr. Riley.
Cut out the Simmons bud and let's get down to business. Mullins couldn't come. Nice little dump you got here.
I'm so glad you like it.
Oh, very nice for a quiet little murder.
It was practically designed for one.
Hey, you're quite a character, ain't you?
Won't you sit here, my dear? And so you say Mullins couldn't come. Then I suppose Mr. Trent sent you.
Mr. Trent?
Mm-hmm.
Don't make me laugh. I am Mr. Trent.
You? Mister?
Yeah, I used Mr. so to fool the cops. Ain't it a honey?
It is indeed. But what a brilliant idea.
Oh, I'm full of them, Bud. I'm just full of them. You know, Bud, you and me ought to team up. With your good looks and my brains, there'd be no holding us. No holding us. Let's cut the cackle, though, and get down to business. I got a date with the bank in half an hour.
But the banks are closed like that.
Ah, this one won't be. Not when I've worked on it.
But I understood from Mr. Mullins that your speciality was, forgive me, blackmail.
No. It's just a sideline.
Well, have you brought the money?
Oh, yeah, I got it right here.
Good.
Oh, here you are, Bud. 5-pound notes and good English sterling. You want to count on yourself or you want to trust me?
Oh, I trust you implicitly. I'll get you the letter.
Yeah, make it snappy, will you?
Don't worry. It won't take me a minute.
This where you keep the bodies?
Oh, no. All the bodies are in there. Well, here you are, my dear. Take great care of them.
You bet I will, Bud.
And good hunting, my dear. Good blackmailing.
So long, I'll be seeing you.
Always a pleasure to do business with you, Mr. Trent. You know, you've given me a splendid idea. When I start my new line of business, I'm going to call myself Miss Riley.
That'll depend on what your new line of business is.
What are you doing here?
Didn't I say I was coming?
Yes, but...
But what?
Well, Trent's just gone. You must have passed her as you came in.
Her? What do you mean? Her?
Well, isn't Trent a woman?
If he is, his wife's going to be surprised.
So she's tricked me. You know, at the back of all this, who was that woman?
That woman was my assistant. Fooled you, didn't she, Riley?
No, not quite.
What are you going to do with Morley?
In a few minutes, I'm going to dump him in the river. And you're going to help me.
Oh, no, I'm not. I don't want to get on the wrong side of the law. No ruddy fear.
Counterfeit. Every one of them counterfeit.
You mean you've given up them letters to a pile of dud notes?
Oh, no, not quite. The letters that I gave to her were duplicates of the original. Each one of them forged. All my own impeccable work.
I had intended them for you.
You had up for that sort of thing, you know. For me? Oh, so you intended them for me, did you? And very nice, too. Right, Mr. Cleverguts. I'll have the real letters if you don't mind. Go on, get 'em. Go on. Come on now. No check, slip 'em over, come on. Come on, you old twister. Show a leg or I'll plug you.
You can't do this to me.
Can't I? I can and I will. That's better. Come on. All of 'em. And I'll have your gun too if you've got one.
But, what about my money?
What do you want with money? It only gets you into trouble.
Look out, Morley!
Give my respects to Mr. Mullins. He should come to in about an hour. I'm sorry I can't arrest you this time. It would involve too many people. But I'll get you, Riley. I'll get you if I have to follow you to hell. Well, we haven't caught up with Riley yet, but we will. In the meantime, you're out of his clutches.
Thanks to you.
Oh, not at all. Thanks to Eileen.
Oh, I didn't do much.
Just the same, if Riley hadn't handed you those forged letters, Mullins wouldn't have got tough. That's what saves the situation. The only thing I take exception to is that accent. What was it, Chinese?
That was my very best France, Mr. Morley.
To Eileen.
Oh, excuse me. Hello? Yes, this is Mr. Morley's office. Oh, just one moment, please. I'll tell him. It's the Star Garage, reporting a stolen car that was brought in yesterday afternoon with a puncture. They want to know if you'll help trace the man who brought it in.
They're asking me if I'll trace him?
They're asking you. You going to take the case?
Hello? Yes, this is Morley speaking.